Hi friends, it's Miss Flory from Yellowbird Studio. I'm here today to work with you on a really cute project that we saw and I have been wanting to make with you guys for a very long time, and I'm glad that I'm going to have the chance to make this with you. We are actually going to be making a little marionette. A marionette is, I guess, a French word for puppet. And so this is a little marionette unicorn. Now, if you do not want to do a unicorn, you can just leave the horn off and make it a white horse. But it is super cute, and you can decide to make it another animal even if you don't want to make it a unicorn. So this is what we're going to be making today, a little marionette. All right, so I'm going to walk you through the steps. Miss Pamela's here to help me with the camera, and I think we're ready to go. Thank you, Miss Pamela. Okay, keep coming down, and that's good. So some of you may see my pretty flowers. I actually picked these from my garden this morning. Thought I would share them with you today. So I'm going to put them kind of here onto the side. So in your kit, you are going to get these materials, and I'm going to walk you through the materials that are going to come in your kit and the materials that you will need to have at home ready for this project. And please watch this video from beginning to end all the way through before you start this project, because there are a lot of steps and I don't want you to mess up or get tripped up. So it's really important to see it all the way through. I do that myself when I'm learning something new. I like to watch it all the way through. So here we go. We have these materials in your kit. We have some glue and some paint. Now yours are going to be labeled so that you know which is which, because glue looks just like paint. They're both going to be white. So yours will be labeled, one is glue and one is paint. So you'll have 2 cups of that. Now one thing with the glue, you're going to need that for Miss Pamela's project. So I would suggest that you do Miss Pamela's project first, just to make sure that you have enough glue and paint left over for my project, because there are things that you're going to need to glue and paint. So make sure that you have enough in your cups for both projects. The other thing you're going to have is 2 paper towel rolls. You're going to have a paper roll that looks like this and a paper roll that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and pre-poke the holes in there, and I will walk you through why the holes are in these places a little bit later on, but just note that there are holes already pre-poked in certain places. Okay, so you're going to have that. You're also going to have a brush. You're going to share this brush between my project and Miss Pamela's project. You're going to have a short piece of straw. You're going to have, this is the top of the marionette, what I was holding to make it go back and forth. It's going to already be glued together. However, if for some reason this comes apart, you can always use tape and tape it back together again. Or if you have your own hot glue at home, hot glue gun under supervision and permission with your parent, you can glue them back together. So that's the marionette holder. You're going to have 5 pieces of a color of yarn. Most likely it will be some sort of pink. It may be pinks and browns. Right now, the sample I'm going to show you today, I'm using pinks and purples. You'll have 5 pieces of lavender or purple or some other color. So at least 2 colors of yarn. You're going to have a little cup of beads. There are going to be 32 beads in the 32 beads in each cup, and 2 googly eyes. So this is for your the legs that we're going to be doing later on. You are also going to have some pieces of this kind of thickish sort of yarn thread. You're going to have 2 pieces that are shorter and 1 piece that is much longer. Okay, so you should have 3 pieces of those. And then you're going to have a couple pieces of this kind of stiff paper. 1 piece is going to be white, and then I don't have it here because it's drying right now, but it is a gold. It will be painted gold on the front and on the back, and that will be your horn. Okay, so those are the things that are going to come inside of your kit to start your project. I'm going to put these on a little tray here, slide it aside. What you are going to need to have is you are going to have some masking tape. Now this is optional. The masking tape don't have to finish the project, but I'm going to show you a step that in case you want it, you might need it. Okay, so masking tape is optional, but you're definitely going to need a pair of scissors, a pencil, and a pink marker or some kind of color to do the ears. And here, Miss Pamela was nice enough to bring over the gold. Now this is still wet and it doesn't look very good because we took it off and we did it sort of in a hurry this morning, but yours will look a lot nicer, but it'll be a piece of gold paper, and that's going to be for your horn. All right, so we're going to walk you through the steps of this project. And the first step is going to be, I'm going to talk to you about the head. Now, with my unicorn, I'm going to show you my unicorn one more time. He has kind of like an open mouth. So you can choose to have an open-mouthed unicorn or horse, like this one. And yesterday when I was trying to make my first one, I didn't paint it, but I just kind of left it brown, which is an option for you if you want to just leave it with a color, or color it with markers, or paint it your own color. That's perfectly fine. But this unicorn has the hole taped closed. Now, if I were to paint it, I would paint over that tape. So I'm going to show you how I closed up that unicorn mouth in case that is an option that you want to do. Very quickly, we're going to make tabs. So you take the shorter paper towel roll and you would take your pair of scissors and you're going to do very tiny little cuts like this. Don't make them very big. And you're just not too close together, just kind of, my scissors are a little dull. You're just going to turn it and maybe make about no more than 5 cuts all the way around your paper tube, like that. Maybe 5 or 6. And so what you've created is a little tab, what we call a little tab. And so what you would do with the tab is instead of folding it out, you would actually bend it in, and you're going to bend these all in like this, so that you're kind of closing up that opening. All right, so then it's going to look sort of like this. So once you have the tabs folded in, then you can take some tape. Now, like I said, this is not something you have to do. If you like the mouth, the opening, then leave it alone and don't do this part. But if you want to have it closed, I know some of you are very particular in how your things look. This is how you would close it up. You just lay some tape across the opening to make the tab stay down. Just kind of shape it in the shape that you like, so that it has more like what we call a muzzle, which is what we call that on animals anyway. And you can kind of like shape it with your fingers and just make sure that it's kind of closed. So now you have a closed muzzle like that. The edges may look a little jagged like that, which doesn't look good when you paint over it. So to fix that, you would take a little bit longer pieces of tape and simply tape around the edge. Now, key part here is do not tape over these holes. Do not tape over the holes. Make sure your holes are exposed because that's where you're going to be doing something else. So you're going to kind of like put the tape around these little edges just to keep them laying flat so that when you do paint over it, it doesn't look jagged. There you go. So here you have a muzzle in case those of you who want to have a closed mouth. But as I said, optional. The one that I'm going to do with you today has an open mouth, so you'll be able to see what it looks like. All right, the first step after doing that, the next step is going to be to paint your unicorn body. So you're going to take the head and the body and the paint that we gave you. Now this paint probably will have a little bit of glue in it, which will actually help make the cardboard a little bit stronger. It may be, but it may feel a little stickier than usual. So another thing that you want to make sure is to put a tablecloth down. Make sure you wear a smock. This is white paint. Normally it won't stain your clothes, but just wear a smock or some old painting clothes if you can, just so you don't have to worry about that. But your paint will be in a cup labeled paint, and you will paint your pieces. It may take from half an hour to an hour for it to dry. So you're going to paint it completely. Make sure you cover up all the spots. If you don't like white paint and you have maybe some other paint, here's a really interesting thing you might want to do. Maybe say you have some other paint and you really want to make a pink unicorn. You can drop a little bit of pink in there and mix it in and change the color of this. Or maybe you want a lavender one. So that's where you can get a little bit more creative, but we gave you a white base and you can decide what you want to do to change that color. That's pretty easy to do. So you're going to paint this, set it aside, and let it dry. While you're waiting to let it dry, you are going to take the little white piece of hard paper. and you are going to start working on the ears. Now, the ears, I'm going to bring back my unicorn. I'm going to show you. The ears are actually folded over. Now, I used some old paper. That's why there's brown on the back. But they're folded over so that they would stand on the head like that. So I'm going to show you how I did that very quickly. So you're going to take this piece of paper and you're going to just fold the edge a little bit like that. So it's kind of, so you know that it's going to stand up like that. And then maybe unfold it. And I'm going to draw a line, but you don't have to. I'm just going to draw a line so you can see what I'm doing. Now, this is the only piece of the stiff paper that you have. If you need help with this, ask somebody to help you, but you need to do two triangles. And I would say make the triangles big. There's enough room for 2 ears here rather than small. So I would make them at least this big, which takes up most of the paper. Don't do a little ear like this. What happens in the studios, we often see kids, they'll make things that are way too small. That's going to be way too small for your unicorn's head. And what I tell the kids here at the studio is it's easier. You can always make something smaller, but you can't make it bigger after you cut it. So you're going to draw your ears on this paper. I'm also going to draw the inside of the ear. And I'm going to color it with my pink marker. I want it to have a pink inside, like that. Then I'm going to cut. Now, when I cut, I'm going to make sure that I cut that tab along with it. So I'm going to show you what to do. I'm going to cut around. I'm just going to cut straight down so that tab is still on there. See? So there's that one, and I'm going to cut around it. So that tab is still on. Maybe let's cut straight down. If you want to round out your ears, you can. If at this point you want to test it later on before you glue them on, you can test it and say, whoa, they're way too big, and you can always trim them down a little bit if you want. But that, I would say go a little bit bigger because he's a funny unicorn. It's kind of what I imagined it to be. And it's a lot easier to work with something that's a little bit bigger like this. So you're going to make the ears. You're going to set them aside while your unicorn is drying. Those are one of the last things that we're going to add. Then this is still a little wet, but you would do the same thing with the gold. You would fold this, make a little tab, draw a horn, and cut it out exactly the same way that you did the ears. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Once you have your body is dry, we're going to work on the legs. So take a look closely at the large paper towel roll. You're going to see that each side has 3 holes. 2 are going to be very close together, and 1 is going to be on the other side. The 2 that are close together are the ones that we're going to work on now with stringing the beads on for legs. Miss Pamela, I would love it if you could assist me with getting 4 bells for me. For some reason, my preparation was not as prepared as I thought it was going to be, and I need to show you my great surprise and this clever thing that I found here at the studio. While she's getting them, I'll tell you what happened. I was trying to be creative and finding something here at the studio that I could give to you for feet. And I thought, well, what am I going to use? I wonder, what we have. And I started looking around the studio and I found a jar of these cool cowbells, which is what you saw on the original unicorn. So these are like little miniature cowbells, but they act really like little hooves on the unicorn. And I thought, oh wow, that is such a cool idea. So when it walks, it actually makes the jingly jangly sound. So you're going to also have these 4 cowbells. And I'm going to show you how to put them onto your unicorn. So like I said before, you're going to have 3 pieces of this sort of stiff string. Go ahead and grab the 2 shorter pieces. The long one is for later. So you're going to have these 2. And this is how you start. you're going to take one of your little cowbells and you're going to slip the end in and you're going to tie a knot. Now, this is what we call a shoe tie knot. It's simply the crisscrosses and then you pass it under through the loop. Okay, just like you're going to tie a shoe. And just to make sure it stays on really, really well, do it twice. You're going to tie one time and then pass it through, tie a second time. Now, if you're not good at tying shoe tie knots, practice before you do this and learn how, because that knot is going to be something that we're going to be using a lot with this project and probably a lot of projects. Probably going to have a little extra right there. That's where your scissors are going to come in handy, and you're going to give it a snip. All right, so you're going to have a bunch of beads. All right. You're going to be putting 8 beads. You should have enough for the 4 legs. You're going to be putting 8 beads on each leg. So you're going to start with this cowbell, and then you're going to slide on 8 beads. So 1, 2, 3, there we go, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if you have little brothers and sisters, make sure that are very, very little, make sure that these beads are not anywhere where they can play with them and put them in their mouth or anything like that. So with parents who have young children who purchase this Crafternoon and have young children under the age of 6, you might want to help them at this point with tying the knot. They may need a little bit of help, but they could definitely string the beads on. So here we have one leg. And so what we do now is where the areas where the 2 holes are, we're going to push the end of the string in, and then we're going to wrap it through the body and push it all the way out. So this is what's happening. You can see that. And there is one leg, jumping around on one leg. Now we're going to do the other side. Now when you come to the other side, you're actually going to do the opposite. Instead of adding the bell first, you're actually going to do it last. So you're going to get your beads and you string them on now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right. So once you have your 8 on, we're going to go ahead and pass it through the cowbell. And you're going to do another shoe tie knot here at the end, close to the beads, as close as you can be. Close as you can. Like I said, if you've got little guys working on this project, this is probably a good place where you can help them. Now you can keep the legs short like I did, or you can make them longer by leaving more thread on there. And just try to do a double knot just to make sure that it stays on really, really well. Some of you who are older and want to just add a little touch of hot glue to make sure that stays on really tight and securely, you can add a little drop of hot glue on that knot if you want to. And then just cut off the end. And so what you have now are 2 fun legs. So you're going to do that again on the other side, which is here. You're going to get that string. We're going to tie our bell on first. Remember, a shoe tie knot. Like this, double tie. And then you're going to get your 8 beads over here for your leg. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. We have another leg. I'm going to snip some of that extra length off a little more here. And then I'm going to pass it through. Again, we've got 2 holes and then the 1 hole on the other side. So you're going to pass it up into the tube and then out the other little hole that's next to it, out the side. And then you're going to do the opposite. Again, one more time. 8 beads first. Go the opposite way. Beads first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, get in there. 6, 7, and 8. And you're going to take your last cowbell and you're going to tie it in right here. Tie and tie. There we go. We're going to cut that off. I think I made it a little bit long, but if you make a mistake like I do, just cut it, try again. And that's the thing that I love about art is when you have a problem, it makes your brain think, oh, I need to fix that problem, and not get really upset about it. Art can be frustrating, but it does teach us a lesson to be patient. It teaches us a lesson to be patient while things are drying. It teaches us a lesson to be patient with ourselves when we make mistakes. So see, I made a mistake and I didn't get upset with myself or mad. So I just started kind of said, oh, I made a mistake, and then I just fixed it. And that's kind of how life is in general. You make a mistake, you just go back and you just try to fix it. So this time my leg will be a little bit shorter. There we go. That makes sense. All right. Now we have our 4-legged little guy. Now see, I made some legs longer than the others. I think you're going to do a much more careful job than I did. I'm trying to get through this video without taking up too much of your time, but you will make sure that your legs are a little more even than mine. The next step is going to be to attach the head. So you're going to get your long piece of string, and there's going to be those 2 holes that are on the top, and you're going to pass your string through 1 hole, and then you're going to pass it through the tube and come out the other end, pass it up like this, so that, ta-da! Look at that. He's kind of standing. It's starting to come together. The next step you're going to do is you're going to attach the head. And this is where you're going to be using this straw and your head. Now, like I said, I didn't tape this one closed, but you would. Now, if you notice on your head, you're going to have 5 holes on one side and 1 hole on the other. This is where your straw is going to be close. Actually, your hole is going to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger. What you're going to do first is you're going to decide where's your head going to be, and which side you want the head on, which side do you want the tail to be. So I'm going to pick this side for the head. So I'm going to take this stiff string and I'm going to push it through my straw. I'm going to slide it down, and then I'm going to take the hole that's on the bottom by itself, not the 5. I'm going to pass it through the hole, and then I'm going to find the middle hole of the 5 holes. I'm going to find the middle one, and I'm going to stick it through the middle of the 5, or the 3rd one in, and you're going to pass it through so that you have that. All right. One thing that I found that was helpful is I stuck the straw into the hole a little bit, and it actually kept the unicorn's head from turning around too much. So you might want to do that. It actually kind of helped a little bit. So now you have this stage of your unicorn. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to tie it to the popsicle stick. So get your popsicle stick together and another double shoe tie knot. You're going to tie it. So it's kind of like a giant T or a big cross. You're going to tie it onto one side like this. Double shoe tie knot. Then take the other end. That's on this end. And then take the other end. Tie it to the other side. Anything that you don't like, you can always clip off later. Oh, I'm not doing my knots very tight. If you have a hot glue gun and have permission to use it, you can also put a little bit of hot glue there so it doesn't slide off. And there is your unicorn. Now, what you can do is you can slide the string inside to adjust how you want it to be. So there's room for play in there a little bit like that. So the next step that I'm going to show you is how to tie on the hair. Like I said, you have some yarn. There's about 10 pieces of yarn that are going to come in your kit. And we're going to do a kind of like a tricky little thing. So we're going to do the mane first. So what you're going to do is you're going to find one of the little holes. You're going to bend the one piece of yarn in half. And you're going to have just sort of like a little loop like that. And you're going to take the end of it and you're going to push it up through one of the holes. With young children, you may need to help a little bit so that you have a loop that kind of looks like that. So you're looking like this. Once you have a little loop that's sticking up, you're going to take the two tail ends and you're going to pass it through that loop, and now you've made kind of like a slip knot. And you're going to do that all the way around. And I'm not going to do that so that, we save a little time. You're going to pass them through all the way around. You can even pass one through the middle hole because there will be room. And eventually what you'll have is something that looks like this. You'll have your mane all secured like that. Now for the tail, what I did, let me move my in progress guy away. For the tail, all I did was I gathered up a whole bunch of the whatever color of yarn that I wanted, and I simply looped it around the thread like that, and kind of hung it over like this, and then I did a shoe tie knot here too. So I took them all and I crisscrossed them all together. Now this may require, like I said, an adult to help, and then you just simply tie it on and tie it really tight. I'm not going to do that here because I've already done it there. So that's how I got the tail to stay, is I simply knotted the tail on to the base. And then the last thing that you would do is to glue on with a tacky glue that we provided for you, just to glue on the ears and the horn and the eyes. If you don't want to use the tacky glue, the tacky glue will be just fine. It will work just fine. But if you want, you will have to wait to play with your unicorn until this all dries. If you feel like you want to play with them right away and you have permission, you could use hot glue to put on the eyes and the ears and the horn at the very end. And so that is your unicorn puppet, Marionette. I hope you enjoyed yourself. One last little thing I wanted to say is that if you want to make your own and you think you have enough of these pieces but you don't have cowbells, you can simply go and ask your parent if maybe there's some nuts and bolts in your garage that you can use to tie on. So anything that's heavy at the bottom will work. It just won't probably be as noisy as this little guy. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. I really had fun making it and describing how to make it with you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.